Hello Year 3, welcome to our science lab, or shall I say Mrs Begum's science lab. So what we are going to be doing today is we are going to be showing how the rock cycle works using chocolate. So the things you'll need are some white chocolate, you are going to need some milk chocolate, you are going to need a plate. Any plate will do, don't worry, it doesn't have to be the exact plate I've got. You're going to need some very hot water, but remember, make sure you have an adult with you so that you're very careful. You are going to need a cheese grater, and then you are also going to need some tin foil. So, what I'm going to do is, as I go through the experiment, I'm going to explain how the rock cycle works. So we are going to start with the sedimentary cycle. So that's when we take rocks and they start to break down into the sea. Now, to show how the rocks break down into the sea, I'm going to break up my chocolates. So my chocolates are going to be my pretend rocks. And I'm going to break them down using my cheese grater. So as I break them down, this is showing how rocks break down over time. So imagine all those rocks that collect up at the start of a mountain or at the end of a mountain. Over time, with all that rain and all that water, they start to break down. So I'm going to break down some white chocolate and then some milk chocolate. The reason being is because rocks come in all different colours and sizes. So I'm going to do that very quickly. And then I'm going to get some white chocolate and start to break those down as well. So you grate them on top of your milk chocolate and just keep them piling up. Now that I have grated all my chocolate, what this is showing is sedimentary rocks that have started to break away into the sea. And then when they go underground, they start to stick together. So they come together in little clumps and they become their own rocks. So rocks such as chalk and limestone are sedimentary rocks that have broken down and come together. They haven't heated up or anything, they just stuck together because they've broken down. So that is the sedimentary stage of a rock cycle. Next, what you have is when the rocks go all the way underground and they start to get heated up because it's so hot underground, and they end up having a lot of pressure pushing them together. So this is the metamorphic stage. So for the metamorphic stage, you are going to need hot water because the hot water is going to pretend to be that heat underground. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open up my flask very carefully because the water is really hot. And I don't want to spill any hot water on myself because that would be really painful. Then I'm going to use my foil to be the base in which I'm going to put my sedimentary rocks that I've just grated on top. And what this is going to show is the rocks starting to melt together because of the pressure, and that will create the metamorphic rocks. So I've got a bit of chocolate on there, I'm just going to remove that. And then what you are going to need to do is place your foil, maybe have a little bit of a dip so that your chocolate doesn't move around. And then you are going to wrap it around the cup or whatever it is that you're using to hold the water. So I'm going to try and make my dip really secure. And then the great thing about soil is that when you press them together, it just stays in place and it doesn't move around. And then once you're done with it, you can just throw it away. So this, at the moment, is showing the rocks now underground and they're getting a lot of heat. So the foil is going to be that heated underground area. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually bring you closer so that you can have a look. And then I'm going to take my chocolate and put it on top and just see what happens. I'm not even going to touch it, I'm not going to stir it, and then we're going to see what happens to the milk chocolate and the dark chocolate, or shall I say the white and brown rocks, when they come into contact with heat. So let's have a look together. Okay, now I'm going to take my brown and white rocks and put them on the surface of the underground area where there's a lot of heat and pressure and see what happens. So you could use a spoon for this. I am literally just going to use my hands and put them on and see what happens. So I'm going to lay them flat and just watch how the rocks come together. And this is the metamorphic stage when the rocks are heated and they come together. So you've got lots of different rocks that just go underground and then get heated and just melt and come together. So these create different rocks with different properties. So for the final stage, what we are going to do is we are now going to take the chocolate carefully off the heated ground. And what we are going to do is we are going to put it in the fridge and let it cool. So once it's cooled, you'll be able to see a different form of the rock cycle. Now what that is going to show is when the rocks start to come up back onto the surface from underground and they cool on the surface of the earth, they become igneous rocks. So they are rocks that have been heated, come up onto the surface and have now cooled down. So can you name any igneous rocks that you have learned about? Pause and then have a think and then come back. Okay, year 3. So I've literally just taken my chocolate out from the fridge. It didn't take longer than 20 minutes. And so when I go like this, it definitely does not come out. So I know it's solid. And when I touch it, there's nothing on my finger as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what an igneous rock is. So igneous rock is that solid rock that cools down after it's been heated and come out from under the ground. So what you have now, the cool down rock, is the igneous stage of the rock when it's all just blended together and made a new form. Okay, year 3, I hope you really enjoyed today's chocolate cycle, or shall I say rock cycle, and you really enjoyed using chocolate to show how the rock cycle works. I hope you enjoyed today's video and I look forward to seeing you for next week's science lesson. Take care.